Hello and welcome to The Daily Oz. I'm Billi.
I'm Zara.
Alexa Leary. If you have watched any of the Paralympics over the past week, you have likely heard her name or watched one of her post-swimming interviews. She's won 2 gold medals, broken 2 world records, well, the same world record twice, and brought a smile to the faces of all of us at home. So who is Alexa Leary and how did she become one of Australia's most treasured Paralympians this year? We'll unpack her story in today's deep dive.
I've been following Alexa Leary on social media for, I think, 2 or 3 years now. And it's been a huge journey to watch her and watch her social media. And I don't want to ruin too much, but if people listening are not Alexa Leary loyalists like I have become, Billi, can you just give us a bit of a sense of who she is?
Yeah, I'll give you a quick overview before we tell you her story. So Alexa Leary is 23 years old. She actually just turned 23. She grew up on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. She is a Paralympic swimmer. Her specialty in swimming is the 100-metre freestyle in the S9 category. And so far this Paralympics, she has won 2 gold medals. Now, I mentioned the S9 category. If you're not familiar with the categories at the Paralympics, basically that S stands for swimming. And so in other sports, you'll see other letters, but here the S stands for swimming. And the number next to it, that relates to the degree to which the athlete's disability impacts their ability to compete.
Well, I had no idea.
No?
No.
So S1 to S10 is for athletes with a physical impairment, and that is where Alexa Leary classifies. And so S1 is the most severe physical impairment, and Alexa is in S9. Now, a lot of people will have come across Alexa for her post-swim interviews.
They're the best.
Her personality is just unbelievably infectious. It is hard not to watch those interviews and have a smile just ear to ear. And I'm going to play a few as we go through this deep dive, but I will save them for now.
I'm very much looking forward to that because you're right. Anyone that has ever watched her knows full well that you cannot walk away from watching Alexa Leary without feeling better than you were, before you did. But Billi, can you take us through a bit of the story as to how Alexa Leary became a Paralympian and a gold-winning Paralympian at that?
So Alexa wasn't always a swimmer, or at least she wasn't always only a swimmer. So she was actually a triathlete when she was younger, and she was really successful at it from a young age. So Alexa finished second in the 18 to 19 age group in the World Triathlon Grand Final in Switzerland in 2019. Now, Zara, I know that you don't absolutely love exercise, so I thought I'd do a quick explainer.
I don't know where that was going. I know you don't absolutely love triathlons.
So in case you don't know what a triathlon involves.
Thank you.
It is swimming, cycling and running. Now, Alexa's dream was to go to the Olympics, and we know this because her parents and herself have shared it several times in different media interviews, that really was her ultimate goal. But everything changed for Alexa in July of 2021, so 3 years ago, when during training for a triathlon, her front wheel on her bike clipped the bike ahead of her, and that caused an accident that saw Alexa land on her head, and the accident resulted in major brain damage, blood clots, and also several broken bones. Now, Alexa's parents have spoken many times, like I said before, about just how severe this accident was, and that they were told that she could have died. There were moments that they didn't know whether she could live. Here's a short snippet of her parents talking to a Current Affair just a few months after that accident.
And that first night, I'll never forget, at 3:59 in the morning, the phone rings and a lady just said, "Look, you have to make a decision now. We either take your daughter's scalp off or she'll pass."
It's horrible because he'd walk out of there going, we're going to come back tomorrow and she's going to be alive.
So Alexa spent a week on life support, and then when she woke, she pretty much had to learn to do everything again. She had to completely learn to walk and talk again, and she spent more than 100 days in hospital recovering from that accident, during which her family started a fundraising campaign to enhance the care in her recovery. You might recognise it because it became quite well known. It was called Move for Lex, and they also started an Instagram page that documented her recovery, and that now has more than 100,000 followers, and it still keeps followers updated on how her recovery is going because, as she also mentions in media interviews, she is still in recovery.
Yeah.
And it was during that recovery, early on in her recovery, that she used swimming as another avenue to help her rehabilitation.
I remember watching the Move for Lex Instagram page growing and watching Alexa go from not being able to stand unassisted to watching her swim and watching her, out with friends. And I think that social media is denigrated for a lot of good reasons, but this is one of those times where you really got to watch it, kind of first-hand experience, watch someone recover and watch it really beautifully unfold. But obviously we only see parts of that on social media, and for her the recovery would have been so long and so difficult. At what point, though, did swimming become not just part of the recovery, but actually something that she seriously wanted to pursue moving forward?
I found this interview her family did with A Current Affair. I played a little snippet of it before. Like I said, it was about 5 months after the accident, and they spoke about just how natural she was in the water.
What is it like watching her get back to swimming?
Oh, just amazing. I mean, swimming was a forte. In triathlon, swimming was her best leg by a long way.
Then in 2023, so 2 years after her accident, she was chosen to represent Australia as an S9 swimmer at the 2023 World Para Swimming Championships. So that was kind of her first step into the professional para swimming race. And at those championships, she won a gold medal in the women's 100 metre freestyle S9. And she also won a silver medal in the women's 50 metres freestyle S9.
Okay, so 2023 was when Alexa Leary was first chosen to represent Australia.
Yeah.
And then this year, she qualified for the Paralympics.
Yeah, I think if you weren't aware of who she was before this year, a lot of Australians came to know Alexa during the Paralympic trials.
Yeah.
When just her complete joy and her excitement after her spot in the team was confirmed, it really just captivated the nation. I remember seeing it on the front page of the newspapers the day after. It was such a beautiful moment.
You just qualified for your first Paralympics. Yeah, Lex! Woo! Now, I'm trying not to get emotional because your journey has been meteoric, and this dream only materialised a few years ago, as I just said. But how big a part has that played in your recovery?
Oh, massive. I've actually come so far. I'm so impressed I'm even in the water. I'm like, yeah, Lex, you've come so far. I'm so excited. I'm like, it's the crepes for me.
I wish we could just play her entire interview because, like we said before, her energy is just so contagious.
And so the clip you just played was Alexa Leary qualifying or after qualifying for the Paralympics. And then this week, she's won gold medals in the Paralympics.
Yeah, she's had an incredible campaign so far, winning 2 gold medals. The first was in a medley relay in the 4x100 metres where Alexa was doing the freestyle leg, so the freestyle 100 metre at the end. I don't know if you saw this, but it was just incredible to watch because when Alexa got into the water, Australia wasn't coming first. We were behind by quite a few body lengths. Alexa gets in the water and just steams down the pool.
Dominates it.
Completely dominates, and I think she takes the lead in the last 5 seconds or something, and she secured the gold for Australia. And then in her solo event in the 100 metre freestyle S9, she actually beat the world record in the heat, which is kind of unheard of. You know, it's not often that athletes will use all of their energy in the heat. But she didn't use all of her energy. She actually then in the final, which was on the same day, beat her own world record that she had done that morning again.
Incredible.
Here's again a little bit of what she said after she won that race.
It's been a long, rough journey for me, but it's a miracle that I'm living and I'm walking and I'm talking. They were told that I never would 3 years ago. and I've just come so far. I am so impressed with myself. I'm like, Lex, look how far you've actually come.
When you listen to those clips, I think one thing that comes through loud and clear is Alexa's message of loving herself and backing herself and, you know, making really clear how proud she is of what her body and her mind has been able to achieve. Is that something she speaks about?
Yeah, I think that really comes through every time I have heard her speak. I actually want to read out a quote that she said in an interview earlier this year that is about a ritual that she does every day to help her in that journey of believing in herself and loving herself and being really proud of herself. So she said, quote, "Every day I write an affirmation on the mirror and I look at it and I believe it and I think it through the day. It's like, you love yourself, Lex. Look who you are. You've got to learn to love yourself." So that's a big thing for me.
I think that is just the perfect energy to go into a Friday with. I think that we all have a lot to learn from Alexa and the way that she shows up in the world each and every day. And I do think it's important to say, of course, that Alexa is just one of more than 100 people that Australia has sent to the Paralympics. There are so many incredible stories that I would encourage everyone to read and learn and listen about. This is, again, just one of those Paralympians, but thought that we'd leave you on a high on this Friday.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Daily Yaus. And just whilst I have you, we're currently running a podcast survey because we would love to know your feedback on our podcast. We are always looking for new ways to improve what we do here, and we can't do that without you letting us know what it is you like and what it is you think that we could maybe improve on. The link to that is in today's show notes. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.